fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork here with a new recap and reaction. We are in season 4, moving along. This is episode 6. I didn't get the name of this episode, did I?
Yeah, the laws of gods and men.
The laws of gods and men. I can't read my own damn handwriting. Directed by Alec Sakharov. He's directed some episodes before. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Anyway, I'm the Turtle Dork. This is the Disco Dork. We got a lot to break down, man. We're gonna get to the end of this episode, the trial by jury. Some great stuff. But let's start this off with Stannis and Davos when they visit the Iron Bank. Great scene. My biggest takeaway from this is Davos. It's a broken record. The shit that we've been saying about Davos, his loyalty to Stannis, and when they basically are trying to get a loan, and the Iron Bank denies them, and when they're denied their loan, Stannis kind of has that Rocky moment. Remember in Rocky Balboa when he's trying to get his permit to box and they deny him, and he turns back around and gives that speech. You don't remember it, never mind. But Davos just gives this speech, man. He was like, look, like, this is the king. He was talking about the who's sitting on the throne right now. I just thought that what Davos stepping up and having Stannis' back yet again, to try to secure these funds to continue this war so that he can take the Iron Throne, I thought was just really telling about something that we really already know about him. But it's just really weird that even at this point, everything Stannis has done against Davos, that still have his back, even in this way, against the Iron Bank, to defend him against the Iron Bank. I don't know, man. I just thought that was my biggest takeaway from that scene. What you think about that whole thing with Davos and the Iron Bank?
I thought that if you're trying to sell a shit product, Davos is the guy you want to do your sales pitch.
Really,
because Stannis ain't shit.
He really
basically
ain't.
But yet you wouldn't know it if you let Davos walk in the room first. You'd be like, oh shit, I gotta meet this dude. This motherfucker sound like the best motherfucker on earth. Yeah. You could be mad once you take that product home. Like, God damn it, Davos, you lying motherfucker. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, it's just, at this point, it's just blind devotion now.
It is. And I want to see when that switch happens. Like I said, we're in season 4. Like, it's got to be coming soon. Because he doesn't...
Does it happen, though?
He separates from Stannis, because when Stannis gets killed by Brienne, isn't that
Thanos?
I said it again. I did it again. Did I? Stannis.
You want Thanos in this series so fucking bad.
I just want one episode. Just give me one episode and I'll be good. No, but like, he gets killed by Brienne, but I want to say that's season 6. I can't remember, but I know that. But he's not with him during that battle.
He's not even with him when Stannis burns his daughter. He doesn't even know about it until, I don't even think he's found out yet.
Okay. Maybe not.
I just remember thinking, like, when it happened, firstly just being destroyed because it happened. But I just remember thinking, oh my God, like, when Davos finds out, he's gonna be crushed.
Yeah. So I don't know what happens. I don't know where that separation happens, but I know that at some point, that, like you say, that blind devotion, it's either it's not going to be there, or Stannis is just going to turn completely. He already has by throwing him in the dungeon once because of the Red Woman. But he's either going to turn his back on Davos, or Davos is going to get to that point where it's just like, this isn't what I signed up for. But I don't know, man. I just thought that was a telltale scene for both of those characters again. All right, man. The attempted rescue for Theon, aka Reek.
Yes, like I've said it before. It's not, because, you know, this is a bunch of stuff that I just don't remember about this show, because again, I haven't, like, especially, I mean, all the seasons actually, I haven't gone back to rewatch them since their initial airing.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff that's just vague or fuzzy or just non-existent to me. But this particular moment,
you remember this?
I remember it because I commented about it because I thought it was going to happen like a few episodes ago.
Okay.
I commented about it then, remembering that Yara's gonna go try to rescue. When she says she's gonna go get her brother, I was like, oh, I remember it's gonna be all for naught because she's gonna get there and he's so turned that he's not gonna want to go, and that's how it played out.
Yeah, man, and they had a good plan and they got far. They had him.
They could have made it out if they opened that cage and he would have got out.
Right mind.
Yeah, they would have made it. They would have made it.
They could, but I mean, like we talked about before. Ramsay has broken Theon, broken his spirit, broken his mind, and at this point, Yara has him, and they have him and ready to rescue him, but he just won't turn. He won't go,
and that is the specific purpose of this scene. It's just to establish how much of a hold Ramsay has on Theon psychologically. Yeah, and it's sad to see. And then there's a little this little skirmish in that area where the dogs and Theon are held captive. And again, like we were talking about, like logic in this show. Why the fuck does Ramsay has no shirt on? Oh, not. That's okay. As far as logic goes, to me that makes sense because we talked about it. He's a psychopath.
Yeah, but he should.
Ramsay is a psychopath.
I mean, I get why he's like that, but y'all can't stamp this motherfucker. And somewhere you can't get one good lick on him.
But also just goes to show because when he comes in, so Yara is in the kennels because it's fucked up. They got Reek sleeping in the kennels.
Yeah.
Because Yara gets a guard and says, "Yo, take me to the dungeons where my brother is." And they're like, "He's not in the dungeons."
Yeah.
They got his ass in the kennel. Anyway, they get to the kennel and like, "Yo, hurry up, let's go." Ramsay comes in. He enters the kennel. Yeah, he doesn't have a shirt on, but he's covered in blood. Yeah. My takeaway from that is not only is he a psychopath, but it does show how adept he is at combat, right?
Yeah.
So that to me says why he hasn't been stabbed. Like he's just
I guess that's
good at fighting.
Yeah, that's good character development for his character.
And plus he's surrounded by his guards.
Yeah,
too.
and we've seen him with a bow and arrow earlier when he was toying with Theon earlier. So we know that
he took those guys out.
Yeah. So he's good at archery and a lot of different stuff like that. Dany speaking with the people of Moraine. First the guy comes. So we get the thing with the dragon. Kill basically barbecue goat.
That's another same thing I remember, like the fact that the dragons are going to become a problem because they're going to be eating. They're eating and basically burning the livestock, which is not intended to feed dragons, but to feed the families of the people who have these livestock.
Exactly. Yeah. So the one comes in and he's Dany offers him, 3 times the value of all the livestock that he lost, and she's feeling good. She's like, I can do this queen shit. I can do this. So then the next man come in, and it's the son of one of the masters of Marine that she had crucified up on one of the crosses, one of the 163 people of Meereen that she had put up there. And the guy tries to explain to her, like, look, my father fought against this, trying to have the slaves, trying to have these slaves and whatnot. But I don't know. And then it was an interesting scene to see him pleading for wanting his father and those masters to have a proper burial, and she arguing against that because of what these people of Meereen did to the slaves of Meereen, and she concedes to have him let him have his father properly buried, but it's not without a bit of conflict and a bit of a back and forth with him, and you can see that it does take a toll on Dany because it's not a clear cut like black and white type of issue. So I don't know, man. I just thought that was
that guy. If I'm not mistaken, like he is one of the people. So I can't remember what season it is. It lies ahead still. But that thing that happens in that arena area where shit goes crazy and the assassins come. That guy,
he's in there.
He has something to do with that. If I'm not mistaken, his face, like seeing him this time, I just recognize like his face is familiar to me in that, and granted, he was in the previous episode when they flung the barrels at the wall, but that's not where the familiarity comes from. I remember specifically him being featured prominently in that episode when they have that assassination attempt and when Daenerys flees on that dragon.
Okay.
So I don't know if that what happens here ties into that, or if it's something else. But for some reason, that guy's familiar. Anyway, my big takeaway from this scene is basically what this the scene establishes to me is that saying, you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to be a ruler, but you have to deal with these, you know, these issues, everything, and it's not the easy shit. You know what I'm saying? So she's only getting a glimpse of that right now. You know, this is the tip of the iceberg, because, you know, if she is to rule the 7 kingdoms, then you got 7 kingdoms worth of this to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a reality check for her to some degree. Tywin in that small council meeting, I like this with Oberyn, because I like when he enters the room, everyone stands except Oberyn. He's so defiant. I love it. I love him for it.
Yeah, he's like, I ain't standing for this motherfucker.
Really. So it's interesting because they talk a little bit about Dany and you know everything that's happening. But my biggest take when they were talking about Dany, because I didn't really know a lot of the history of Jorah, and I think it was Pycelle that says, he was like, is Jorah still spying for us?
No, he says we still have one of our spies.
Yeah, we still have one
amongst them, and then Varys
says, I think he's fully devoted with Dany now, and I know that does come back because Dany finds out something about Jorah and sends him away.
She banishes him.
Yeah, banishes him, and then I think that's when he runs into Tyrion, and he tries to bring him back to try to get into her good graces, and he ultimately does. To prove his loyalty. But I do know that at some point when she finds out the truth, that that trust is broken between Dany and Jorah.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't remember exactly first why Jorah was banished from King's Landing, because he got banished, I think, in the beginning. I can't remember exactly his full backstory, but I just found that to be interesting that, you know, he ultimately was sent as a spy.
Yeah.
And then he ultimately, you know, became fully devoted to Dany. So I just found that to be interesting with that scene as well. I don't know, any takeaways from the Tywin scene, that small council meeting?
No, just you know, it's funny. Again, I'm juxtaposing what we're seeing on this recap with, you know, the most recent season 7, and in that season 7 is when a White Walker is brought face to face with Cersei, and she also sees the dragon. And it's so funny because in this season right now, in 4, at this point, she's so dismissive of everything outside of King's Landing, outside of her own little bubble. You know, she refers to Dany as a little girl. She's dismissive of the dragons, and even Tywin is dismissive of the dragon. He says, like, a dragon hasn't won a war in 1,000 years. Soldiers have. So, again, they're going to get a reality check soon too.
And it's crazy too, because I think even in season 7, when they have that meeting and she sees the White Walker, she's still, I don't want to say dismissive, but she still is on her own mission. You know, because she sends Euron Greyjoy to still go try to secure the Golden Company, because she has that whole thing with Jaime, where Jaime's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you saw what's coming here. Like, why are you so... He's like, I don't know. Like, some of the Cersei is... But we'll see how all that plays out. All right, so before we get into the trial by jury, that scene between Varys and Oberyn in the throne room, and the line that he says, absence of desire. That's the one thing that kind of stuck with me for what Varys says, is that absence of desire, because Oberyn says to him, it was like, look, you don't desire men, you don't desire women. He's like, no, because, you know, desire is basically, it's almost what causes men to do like these, you know, just things that just don't make them think straight or whatnot.
Yeah.
And he's like I'm absent of desire. He's like so it's kind of alluding that he wants something more, because you see the throne in the background. I'm like, oh, Varys, he's going to be on the Iron Throne at the end of season 8. We solved it. There you go. You don't have to watch season 8 at all. It's Varys. But I don't know. I thought that was an interesting scene, because anytime Varys has a scene, especially like these one-on-one scenes with any character, and this is the first time I think we had one with Oberyn, they're always fascinating, and I'm always engaged in those scenes, because it seems like there's always something to take away from those scenes with Varys.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. What'd you think of that scene with Varys and Oberyn?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, like, one could definitely interpret that scene as, especially with the particular shot composition, where you have
the throne in the back,
Varys on the left and Oberyn on the right, and the throne in the middle in the background. One can interpret that scene in that line of dialogue as Varys alluding to, I don't have desires because they're distractions, and without those distractions, I'm allowed to focus on other things, and then the camera focuses in on the throne.
Yeah.
One could assume that Varys means focus on the throne for himself, but I don't think my interpretation of that is actually different. Again, that coupled with him and what he speaks to Tyrion about in the last scene, but also where those two characters end up working together, and also what he said to Tyrion before.
Oh yeah.
I just think that Varys is, because he doesn't have the desires of men or women, it allows him to focus on his birds and his spies and information to position the best person to be on the throne. You know what I'm saying? And so I think maybe that's what that could be alluded to.
No, that's what it is. Because I mean, I don't think Varys is going to. I don't think that's what he wants or desires.
He can't have kids. He can't. No, the line.
Yeah, he's not. I was just joking. I don't think Varys. I don't even think that's what he wants or what he's seeking for that. But yeah, you're right. I think he is trying to do what, like I said, focus on the things that he can focus on to have the right people, or to follow the right people to help them get to the throne, or who he sees fit to be sitting at the Iron Throne. Trial by jury. So this took up a big portion of the latter part of this scene, and it's kind of broken up into two different parts. So I guess the first part, before we talk about the agreement that Jaime and Tywin made until we get to that last scene, but how all this stuff kind of starts, and bringing Tyrion out there, and it was just, I don't know, it was interesting to see all this stuff kind of play out. I mean, it's really kind of like a courtroom drama. Mm-hmm. That's really kind of how all this stuff played out. I mean, we get Sir Meryn, that asshole, when he comes up there and talking about all the stuff that happened when he was saying these things about Tyrion, that one episode where they were like ripping Sansa's clothes off, and Tyrion even mentions that as well.
The funny thing about this, of all the witnesses that are testifying against Tyrion, the only one who lied was Shay. Everyone else told the truth, but it was just truth that was not even misinterpreted, but they put a spin on it to make Tyrion seem. I mean, because at the end of the day, because Tyrion obviously was open about his disagreement with the way Joffrey was ruling. And not even that, but just his overall behavior. And unfortunately, that was something that everyone used against him in that courtroom. And
because they knew they could use that against him. I mean, it would support their argument that he was the one.
Right, and it's an argument that it's hard for him to argue against. Mm-hmm. Like, as if he denied saying any of the things that they accuse him of saying, he'd be lying, because he did say and do those things. But the context in which he said and did those things is different than what they're presenting. Tywin doesn't get the opportunity to hear that yeah, Tyrion said those things, but it was because he was pointing a crossbow at Sansa in this room in front of everybody, and he just ripping her clothes off. He didn't get to explain the context in which these things were said, so it's damaging against him as far as the trial goes.
Yeah, so before we get to the last part of the trial, they adjourn for some time, and then there's a conversation between Jaime and Tywin, and they basically try to come to this agreement for Tyrion. So he basically says, look, if Tyrion pleads guilty, then I'll send him to the Night's Watch, and then you won't be part of the Kingsguard anymore, and then I'm going to send you to rule over Casterly Rock. You'll get a wife, and then you'll have some kids to continue the Lannister name. He was like, look, I promise you this. If he pleads guilty, this is what will happen. Because, like, again, Jaime is trying to do what's right and is trying to protect his brother. And I don't know. So when they come back, and Jaime tells Tyrion, he was like, look, just keep your mouth shut. I've talked to Father. This is the agreement. Like, just plead guilty. You're gonna go to the wall. Everything is gonna work out. And then we come back to the trial, and they pull up Shay. So before we get to Shay, anything with Tywin and Jaime, like, now, because Tyrion also says, he's like, look, that same agreement was given to Ned Stark, and we see what but Jaime says, like, look, Tywin isn't Joffrey, and Tywin can keep his word, but we also know how Tywin really feels about Tyrion. But I don't know, in this moment, even in that meeting that he has with Jaime, I do believe Tywin when he says that.
Oh yeah, because he definitely wants Jaime to go and rule Casterly Rock and have kids. Rock. Like, that's paramount to him.
Exactly.
Even more so than freaking killing Tyrion.
Exactly. And then that's what Jaime says, look, if you do this, then I'll do what you say. But only if you allow Tyrion to live and send him to the wall. So before we get to the Shay stuff, anything as far as that struck you with Jaime and Tywin in that conversation?
I'm stuck thinking about if Tywin was 3 steps ahead as far as Jaime stepping up to even offer that. Because how the scene plays out is, Jaime's like, yo, this is a farce. You already, you're going to kill him. And Tywin's like, we're going to serve him justice. We'll let the court decide or whatever. Yeah, he'll be punished accordingly. Yeah. And Jaime was like, look, if you let him live, then I'll take off this Kingsguard shit and I'll rule rightfully. I'll be the one to carry on your name. As soon as he said that, Tywin was like, done, deal. Okay. And then he laid out the stipulations of that deal. All right, done. I'll let him live. He'll be found guilty. He's going to plead for mercy. We'll send him to the wall. He'll become the Night's Watch. You'll go to Casterly Rock. He had that shit all laid out.
Yeah, he did.
Like he knew he was waiting for that. And so I don't know. That's how it played to me because his response was so fast. Okay. And so I don't know if that was just the editing of the show or the pacing of that scene or whatever, but because he had that response and that ultimatum or that stipulation is laid out in that way, I felt like he was just sitting on that. He had that shit in the tuck and he was just waiting for Jaime.
I know.
Bam. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like again, it just goes to show how much Tywin puts. How much forethought,
how much thought he puts
into maintaining that fucking legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great scene between the two of them. So the final scene, the second half of this trial, where let's get to Shay. Shay comes out. Now, this is interesting to me because the last time we saw Shay, and this whole thing was when he told at Joffrey's wedding, when he asked, the beginning of Joffrey's wedding, when he was walking with Bronn and Podrick, and he was like, are you sure she was on the ship? And Bronn said, look, I made sure she was on the ship. She's gone. She's safe.
The last time we saw Shay was that confrontation.
The confrontation. Well, I'm talking
that specifically comes back.
Well, that comes back, but I'm talking as far as like him when he first sees her and her thinking that she's not even there because he thinks that she's already been sent off. because he
Tyrion thinking
Tyrion thinking that Shay is not even at King's Landing because she was supposed to be gone. So that's what I was saying. Like with the wedding, Bronn said, like, look, she's gone. She's not here anymore. I made sure she was on the ship, and I watched the ship take off, and she's gone. And Tyrion was like, all right, bet, she's good. But then also going to your point, like the last time we saw Shay was when Tyrion had to say that heinous stuff to her, to try to push her away, to get her to leave, calling her a whore and saying all that stuff that he really didn't feel, but he just felt it, but he knew that he had to say to try to get her, to push her away or to get her to leave for her safety. So now in this moment, and I love the way they play it when the camera's close up on him from behind, and he turns his head and his reaction to it, and we know who it is at that moment, and she comes up and she gives her testimony, and it's fucking heartbreaking to hear her have to basically lie, about all this shit that she's saying about Tyrion.
This show lost me on this one. Like
what did just Shay and that whole storyline, or just this scene right here?
Well, like them writing that her, like them choosing that particular narrative with her, like them writing that shit. Because again, it goes back to what I was saying before. She knew goddamn well that she knew, like when they had that argument, like she knew that Tyrion was saying those things just to get her to go.
Yeah.
Firstly, secondly, again about what we was talking about before, like she knows that it's a dangerous place. She knows that if she's found out, it's bad for her and Tyrion. Like she's not dumb. Like the fact that the show wrote her in that way for her to be upset with him, like she knew. She even said it herself. She knew that he didn't care about Sansa in that way. That he didn't love her
exactly
like he loved Shay. Like she knew that shit. So for the show to write her to be this way, to be angry at that, and then to have her turn on him in this way.
That's my whole thing, is like, did they get to her? Like, why would she lie about all that shit and turn on him like that?
I don't know. Like, if you loved him, like, get to her what? Like, offer her money, offer her safety, because he gave her money. Like, she was taken care of. Like, she didn't even, it wasn't even about the money between her and him. So, like, get to her in what way?
That's what I'm saying. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like watching that, I didn't understand the motive of why she would lie.
But in the context of this scene, it makes it seem like she was, because when she's lying, you can see her kind of, you can see her not confident in those words. Well, maybe not confident, but you could tell by how she was playing that part when she was saying the untruth. She was delivering those lines differently. But when she got to the part about he would have me come into the room and just wait while he did whatever all day and only come in, and then that was before he married her. And when she started talking about Sansa, like she was very firm in her tone and what she was saying, because I felt like she believed that shit. So the way the scene plays, she was genuinely upset with Tyrion and Sansa, or Sansa or whatever. When previously the show has her say she knows that he doesn't feel that way. So I was like, it feels manufactured to me. Like it just rings false. It feels like, all right, well, we have to have this drama. We got to give Tyrion a reason to renege on the deal or whatever, and do the trial by combat thing. But like, why do it in that way? Like, I just wish they would have found a better way. I wish they would have been more clever about it, because it betrays Shay
and how they built her character up until this point. You're right. I agree. Let's get to that last moment, because this is some tremendous acting by Peter Dinklage in this.
I think this is and I'm trying to remember after this in later seasons and stuff like that, but I think definitely at this moment during my initial watch, this was my favorite Tyrion moment. Okay. It was my favorite Tyrion moment, and not because, I'm pretty sure he had other moments where he was triumphant or he said something funny or cool or witty, but just, all around, like whether it be his defiance, whether it be his standing in the face of, adversity, or people mocking him, or just, just how he was treated, like, and
that's what it feels like. It feels like this is like the release of all that frustration and just aggression that he's been feeling, that he's been tormented with by just the people of King's Landing, from his family, from his father. Everything has been built up, and he lets it out in this moment. But I mean, it's your favorite character. I'll let you take it away. Like, what you think of that scene?
Just, I mean, you know, from all that to the way Dinklage performs that shit.
Yeah.
To, yeah, like what you were saying, like the significant, and what he said, he's like, you know, I'm guilty.
Yeah. You know, not of Joffrey's death.
I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
Yeah.
And Tywin says, you know, you're not on trial for being a dwarf. And Tyrion's like, bullshit. He's like, I've been on trial for being a dwarf
a whole life.
My entire life.
Yeah.
And, you know, just identifying with someone who is not accepted because they're different.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing what that feels like.
Yeah.
And having, like you said, like him releasing that, because everywhere he goes, if it's not Jaime who loves him or Bronn who has accepted him, if it ain't them two people, there's almost always somebody in the room either talking about him behind his back or to his face, or remarking on him being half a man or a monster or whatever.
Exactly.
Like his entire life. And not in it's not like he defends himself every time that happens. So a lot of the times that shit just has to hit and slide off. But you can see in this moment that that's not truly what it does. It hits and some of it sticks, and he's held it in. But at this moment, you know, he lets that shit out, and just the way it was written, and like I said, how it was performed. I don't know, like I got goosebumps, and I was like emotional in that part, because you really feel for Tyrion in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, just like you say, just the way he speaks, turning to the crowd, speaking to the crowd, and speaking to his father, speaking to everybody, and looking at Cersei, and just that performance in that scene. I mean, just the way he delivers that. I mean, it pierces you, and you feel it as a viewer. You feel it. You feel his pain. You feel his frustration, and you know what that feels like. Anybody that's had that pent up aggression and frustration, that you just want to release it, and you feel like, look, if I'm going to die or whatever's going to happen, regardless of what Jaime is telling me, like, fuck it. I'm just like, this is the truth. I'm going to speak my truth at this moment.
Yeah. And
I just thought it was fascinating. I thought it was probably some of Peter Dinklage's best work that I think he's done in the series, in the whole series. In the entirety of this series. So this is another powerful, great episode. Love the way this one ended. We're getting closer, man. We're getting closer to these moments. The head crush, all that shit.
Yeah.
We're getting closer. So next up is episode 7. But yeah, this was episode 6, The Laws of Gods and Men, which makes a lot of sense. Directed by Alex Sakharov. So let us know what you thought of this episode and our conversation about it in the comments below. Remember to rate, like, subscribe, and share, and check out our other dorks at MouthDork, at Sidewalk Siren, at WB Das. Did that backwards. Anyway, check out the podcast at ItModcast. Check me out at TheTurtleDork. Check this guy out at TheDiscoDork. And with that, we are out of here.